There was a long article in the New York Times yesterday basically attributing the housing mess that we're in right now to Alan Greenspan around the 2001-2002 time period. What's your position? Do you think that Greenspan could have done more to get us out of this housing bubble? And as a follow-up on that, do you think that this is going to put the country into, many people believe that we're in recession already. Many economists believe that we're heading for a recession perhaps within the next 6 months. Do you believe that that's true, and how deep of a recession do you think that this country is facing?
Yes, I think we're in the early stages. If you're in the housing business or the mortgage business dealing with that, you might feel like you're in a depression. And if you're losing your house, you're in a depression. But nationally, and the statistics will eventually catch up, I think we will have one, because all monetary inflations, periods of monetary inflation, always leads to a recession or depression. And it's just a matter of time, and you never know the timing. But the longer you go without a correction, the worse the correction is. And the more interference you do with the correction, the market always wants to liquidate that. Governments and politicians don't want to, and that was our problem in the 30s. We pushed this up, and we interfered too much and didn't allow the liquidation. Now,
we're not seeing inflation yet. The CPI is not showing that.
Yeah, well, there's two things. First, the CPI is totally unreliable. If you go to the old recording of the CPI, it's 8 or 10%. People still measure it by the old CPI, and a CPI is very generalized, because if you're retired and you're on Social Security and you have heating bills and a medical bill and a repair bill, your inflation rate might be 15%. Inflation has to be measured by the increase in the money supply. That's the dilution of the value of the dollar. It's the malinvestment that is the real evil, the pumping up certain industries. But in housing, I mean, we had horrendous inflation in housing prices. So when the government inflates the currency, all prices don't go up the same. Electronics go down in price. You know, computers, still, you can get deals. Prices go down. Cell phones go down. At the same time, when governments direct where the money might go, say into medicine, cost goes up. Even, it might go into financials. It might go into education. And our housing programs. You know, you have the misdirection from the excess of credit, which is the most serious problem. But then on top of that, you have the housing programs that said you will make these loans. They're talking about the subprime loans. But by law, these banks have to make some of these loans. You know, you can't discriminate. So they force people to go in and make bad loans, and then we have to bail them out. So that means there's more money flowing into it, and that's why prices of houses, you know, go up much faster than the cost of rent. Matter of fact, you know what they did, like CPI, during all those, you know, increases in the cost of a house, they didn't even put cost of houses. That's not even in, you know, the CPI. But Alan Greenspan, it isn't so much that he didn't do enough to deal with the housing bubble. He created it. It was his low interest rates of 1%, which generated very low interest rates. So that fed through the market, and we had our interest rates down to 4.5% on a mortgage. You know, in this age when the dollar is losing its value, I mean, this was astronomically low. And people do the wrong things, because the information you need to get to make an investment is to find out how much people are saving. We don't save, so everything is artificial. And that's when people make mistakes. And people made mistakes buying houses when they shouldn't have, and they were many times tricked into it with you know, promises of you know, a wonderfully low mortgage payment that they don't emphasize. In 2 years you're going to have to pay a lot more. So it was a combination of housing programs and policies as well as the low interest rate. So the prevention is much better than the cure, because the cure is just devastating, because the cure is allowing the market to liquidate bad debt. That's what the market wants. Politicians say, keep the bubble going. And that's where we are today. And they're bailing out. I mean, what was this operation just last week? The $90 billion project of all the international, all the international central banks. I mean, this is very big. The other big change on monetary policy, it's not, we don't quite yet see the evidence. It has been the opening up of the discount window. The discount window has always been used for banks on their last legs. They can go and they can borrow. And it's always been, you know, oh, my bank's in trouble. I don't want to borrow from the discount window. But now they've changed that whole attitude. Please come to the discount window. Bring us all your bad debt. Bring your mortgage securities. We'll take anything. And they can get bailed out, and banks have still been reluctant. And that is what they're trying to do. That's why they're facilitating. They're changing the nature of the discount bank so they need that in addition to just lowering overnight rates. And that's just inflation. And this is what I got after Bernanke for the other day. I said, how can you solve the problems of inflation with more inflation? The markets wants deflation. It's politically unacceptable. That's why expect more erosion of your dollar.